All right, let's do a quick review of the reduce method. So it's used on arrays like this. When you use it, it's going to loop through each value of the array. And on each value, in this case, this object, it will perform your custom function or callback function. And then whatever you return from that function, it will remember that value for its next iteration on this object. So let's say if you want to find the sum of these two items prices, which should be 510, on the first loop, you can make it remember the price of each iteration. So the first iteration, it remembers, oh, price is 10. Then on second iteration, it remembers that, oh, my custom function tells me to add each of the price. So 10 plus 500. So I return the final value, 510. Okay, but how does that look in code? Well, let's see. Let's do const total is going to be equal to, and then here is where we use reduce. We can use arr.reduce. So reduce takes in two arguments. I would always recommend you use two arguments. The first is your custom function, which we can just leave it like this for now. And then the second is the initial value. Okay, in this case, I will put 0, and I will explain why later. Okay, so inside the arguments of your custom function, you get access to two variables. One is called the accumulator, and the other one is called the initial value, which I would just call init. And this initial value and this one is different. Let me explain. So remember when I said that reduce will loop through this array, right? On the first iteration of the loop, this accumulator will be whatever you provided as your second argument inside of reduce. Okay? In this case, it will be 0, but it can also be things like an object, which we will talk about later on. Okay, so after each iteration, whatever you return will become the accumulator of the next loop. So let's do this example so it sounds less confusing. So we're going to return the accumulator, which is 0 at first, plus, how do we get the price of this? Well, init will refer to the object in this case, right? Because it's an array of objects. And how do we get the price? Init.price. And then here, I will just console.log total. And then we get 510 here. Okay, let's walk through this. Reduce is a loop. First iteration, it says, hey, do you have a second argument? Yes, you do. It's 0. So it replaces the accumulator with 0. Then it's going to say 0 plus init.price. On the first loop, init is the first value of your array. In this case, this object. So init.price is 10. 0 plus 10 is 10. Okay. And since there's a return statement here, it will remember that, oh, after this first object's iteration, my return value is 10. And then on the next loop, it will remember, oh, I'm still returning my accumulator, which is now 10 and not 0, right? Because it finished the first loop. So 10 plus init is now the second value of the array, which is the iPhone object. Init.price 500 plus the previous price 10, we get 510. Cool, right?